Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you, only confuse you, only confuse you.
Good morning to the world, particularly to those who are in the northwestern hemisphere, and commonly called the United States, but also includes Canada. Good morning and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and of course, this is radio the way it should be heard. We would like for you especially to stick around today because we have a special announcement that we will be making near the end of the first hour and sometime in the second hour. So make sure, pardon me, that you stay tuned for that. On the line this morning, again live, will be Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And he will be here to answer or your thoughts, questions, suggestions he will make concerning how to deal with racism, which is white supremacy. Now, to get in contact with the show, the phone lines are now open or will be open in a few moments, but you can call 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. You can also do this if you want to watch the program live. You can go to you can go to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar and type in the word radio and scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, where you can watch the live broadcast of the program. While you are there, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button. And the last way you can view the program or listen to the program is you can go to facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can hear the entire program as it is being put forth. Okay, those are the ways. You know that we are in our donation period, so don't forget to hit the donate button there. Okay, let me present to some and introduce to others Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning on this rainy Wednesday morning. I don't know what it's doing in D.C., but good morning.
It's not raining here. Good morning. I'm still learning.
You are still learning. All right, let's jump right into it. There was a lot of questions concerning your statement about Kanye West, and somebody wrote in and said this concerning Mr. Kanye West. Said he's a very rich and famous black celebrity rapper, announced publicly that, quote, 400 years of slavery was a choice, end of quote, on behalf of black people, meaning black people decided to stay in the comfort of slavery for that long of a period. This announcement was made publicly through an interview he had with another black male that promoted all around the world. Consequently, Mr. Fuller, black people began fighting publicly about the context of Kanye's comments. These reactions are now being seen all over the world. Mr. Fuller, I would like to ask you this. Mr. Fuller, do you think the promotion of Kanye's statement was an effort on behalf of white supremacy to keep black people squabbling and one another, so that we would be talking emotionally about slavery, instead of emphasizing how racism, white supremacy exists today. Also, it is noteworthy to mention that Kanye West is married to a white woman.
According to the code, everything that the white supremacists do is to make white supremacy stronger. So if they are emphasizing comments made by Mr. Kanye West about slavery, it's to make white supremacy stronger. That's going to be the result of all this talk. I mean, that's what it comes from. Now, it comes down to counter-racist codification. What should be the position, according to what I've written, the Compensatory Code? In order to counteract that, I say VGQ, which I have consistently said all the time about what any non-white person says about race, racism, or counter-racism. He or she is entitled to say that, and should say it. Say what's on your mind. Evaluate things the way that you see it. You are guaranteed the qualification to do that just by being classified as non-white under the system of white supremacy. You have earned that. So you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what the white supremacists do, or what white people, even who are not white supremacists, as a reaction to that, that's the thing to pay attention to. Not Mr. Kanye West. There'll be other black people who will say all sorts of things. I mean, thousands of them who would say things. What has that got to do with anything that the white supremacists are doing? There's no connection at all. This is the scientific way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely no connection. If I stand next to a black person who is saying slavery never existed, racism doesn't exist, black people have never been mistreated, everything is just rosy, everything is just great between black people and white people, black people are wrong about everything and white people are right about everything, and a white person is standing there listening to that. Let's just say, for example, there's three people standing there talking, two of them black, one white, and one black person is making all these statements to the white person and to the other black person. And if I'm that other black person, I'll just stand there and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that black person gets through talking all day long, praising, really, the whole concept of racism, if it exists, say, yeah, black people have gotten what they deserve. I mean, they should be slaves. This is a black person talking. I will listen to it, but then the code says I turn to the white person and say to the white person, sir or ma'am, what do you have to say about that? It's not what I have to say about it. It's not even what he's saying. He's black in the system of white supremacy. He can say anything he wants to. But it comes down to what do you say, not about what he said, not about him saying it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say, sir, about racism? What do you have to say about slavery? Independent of whatever his opinion is. I mean, why would you pay attention to what his opinion is and you wouldn't pay attention to mine? I mean, and you haven't even heard my view. Or if you hear my view, you still make up your own mind, sir.
Or ma'am.
Mm-hmm. See, this is what black people have to learn to do. That's what that VGQ is for. All of your attention should be turned not to what Mr. Kanye West is saying, or didn't say, or may say tomorrow, or next week, or next year, or into infinity, or even some other black people step forward and say, yes, I agree with Mr. West. I mean, if thousands come out and say that, it still comes down to what? What is going to be the interaction between black people and white people on the issue of race? And white people have to make up their minds how they are going to react to anything that anybody says, and say what their reaction and what their prescription for solution are going to be. This is what you got to concentrate on.
Yes, sir.
Concentrate on, okay, sir, we got a problem here of race. What's your solution? And the answer to that should come from somebody who's white, and not somebody who is white talking about, well, if you want to know about this race thing, check with Mr. Kanye West. He knows all about it. We white people don't know anything about it. I mean, he's teaching us.
Okay.
That makes no sense at all. None.
All righty.
This should not be a controversy at all.
Okay. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you call to get in contact with the show. Let's go to line number one. Line number one, you are now on with Neely Fuller. What is your question, please?
Hello?
What is your question, please?
Yes, on page 334 of the original book, there's a statement Mr. Fuller has in 1964. He writes, many white people hate black people. Those white people who hate black people do not hate black people because black people are black. They hate black people because white people are not black. My question to Mr. Fuller is he saying white people want to be non-white? Is that why they have so much hatred for us?
I threw that out as a hypothetical.
Okay.
I just made a statement for people. See, the supplementary title of the book is Textbook Workbook for Thought, Speech, and/or Action. That's for somebody to consider that could be true. The reason I put it in there is because there's a lot of black people who say that is true. That the reason white people hate black people is because white people are not black. Now, a lot of people have said that down through the years. That could be true. I don't know. I mean, what is the nature of hate? What causes a person to hate? And actually, what do you mean by hate? I mean, what are the ingredients that go into hate in order to make hate hate? Because that's the term that white people use, too.
Yes.
I mean, they talk about hate crimes, and they say that a lot of black people commit hate crimes. Okay, I was accused by a white lady of spreading hate. So I did the thing that the code called for me to do. I simply said, okay, ma'am, let's discuss this. First of all, let's get some definitions down. You know, what is the definition of hate, and where is the evidence that Neely Fuller spreads hate? And once I ask that question, I always do what the code requires me to do. Don't ad-lib. Put a question mark behind that question and wait. And so I followed the code as far as that's concerned.
What was the result?
The result was silence. And then the lady said, Mr. Fuller, I withdraw my statement. I said, thank you very much. We will proceed with the discussion.
Okay. All
See,
right.
sometimes all you have to do is just slow down and pay attention to words. And the first order of business in talking about any word is everybody has to explain what he or she means by any word that comes into question. and explain it fully. It might take a whole day just to explain what a word means.
Yes.
All right? But you take that time. Why? If you don't do it, you're going to have the one thing you definitely don't want.
Confusion.
Confusion.
Yes.
And the white supremacists thrive off of confusion.
Okay.
And that's what we have now in this Kanye West thing.
Yes.
We got mass confusion. Nobody's talking about a solution to the problem. They're talking about the drama of, well, I mean, Mr. West shouldn't have said this, and another person said, well, he should have said it, like I say, he should have said it, that that's what he thinks. I mean, how come he can't say what is on his mind? All right, without people talking about him personally and whatnot, just talk about the issue. But I'm saying anything dealing with race, if I will listen to every black person talk, but I will turn, according to the code, to the nearest white person and ask that white person, what do you have to say, sir? What do you have to say, ma'am? Why? Because the code says that in racial matters, what a white person says is much more important than what any black person says about race. Why? Because they're the experts, and among them are white supremacists who are the orchestrators of all this problem in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And remember not to answer for them or help them with their answer.
No, definitely don't. I mean, once you put a question out there, see, many of us, and I have actually slipped and done that, because that's sort of, a natural thing. We all have our viewpoints. So when we ask someone a question, before the person can answer the question, we want to jump in and give them our viewpoint on the answer to the question. That's always a mistake. You ask the question just like in court, and you wait for an answer.
Yes, sir.
But sometimes in court, like Tom Cruise did in A Few Good Men, talking to Colonel Jessup, he said he asked the question, but then he started needling Colonel Jessup just to get him emotional. Okay, I mean, he started kind of halfway answering the question himself.
Yes.
But in counter-racist codification, you never do that. Never, never, never do you do that.
All righty. TalkTainmentradio.com is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news and lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. And here's two that I would like to share with you. One is called This Is Libby, and the other one is called All in the Family. Now, these shows are exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com, and all you have to do is click on programs on the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, click on for programs for scheduled times, and all the information that you would need to know about these shows are there for your listening enjoyment. Talktainment Radio, that's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. You can now call in. Phone lines are open, 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. You can also go to the YouTube channel where you can listen live and look at the live broadcast of the program. Go to the YouTube channel and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, where you can watch the live broadcast. And while you are there, hit the subscribe and like button, and some good things will happen to you. And the last way you can access the show in the podcast form is go to facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can hear the entire broadcast. We're going to be having a special announcement near the end of the program, so I'm going to make a little room for that. and then we'll also do it in the second hour. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Okay, we have a phone call. Okay, caller line number 1. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller. What is your question?
If I can get 2 quick ones real fast. Have you guys talked about the movie list already, and what's the update on that?
Mr. Fuller, the movie list.
I'm here again. I've had so many things come up that has interrupted my getting that list on my website. But I have it just about completed, but I just have to execute getting it on there. There's a few things I want to do in a last-minute check, because I want to put the movies in the order of which I think they should be seen. Mm-hmm. Also, I want to put some ingredients in there about what to look for, not in specific movies, but in all of the movies as a conglomerate of certain things about cowardice, about character, about choices. See, since we mentioned Mr. Kanye West and talking about slavery being a choice. I mean, and there are lessons in all of these movies about choices that people make, choices that people make about what they say and about what they do and what the effect of these choices are. And character, the word character, how does that fit? Like in the movie An Officer and a Gentleman, they talk about character. Also, character is mentioned in a movie called The Hustler with Paul Newman, which is on the list, and where a character named, an actor named in the movie named Burt Gordon talks to Fast Eddie Felson, if people remember the movie, or if you should see it. He said, you know, the difference between you and that other fella is that he's got character and you haven't. See, and so every now and then people hear that word character being used that applies to people. So it comes down to a question of exactly what is character? What is character? You know, and some people say that you can't really describe it, but you know it when you see it. And I kind of understand what that means. There are some words that just, you know, there are some things, some elements of things, or some occurrences that you really can't describe exactly how it is, but you kind of have a sense, a feeling, an intuition, you might call it. Probably that's not even a word to use to even describe what you're trying to describe, except you just know it's there.
Yes.
You just know it's there. Mm-hmm. And that's what this character was saying in the movie. But the list itself, I'm still working on it, and it shouldn't be too far off.
Okay.
Several people have asked about it.
What is your second question, sir?
Second question: do you ever find yourself feeling anxious? Because, I mean, you say that you talk about the same thing every week for a long time, and it seems like people still don't get it. Even you can be talking to them directly. Does that make you anxious sometimes?
People still don't get what?
Just understand the system. I mean,
understanding the system of racism?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not easy to understand when you've been brainwashed into saying, and, you know, there's no such thing as racism. There's no system of racism. Racism is just something, you know, you run into somebody, I mean, who uses the N-word in a bar. I mean, you know, some half-drunk white person calls a black person the N-word, and there you have it. That's racism. That's all of it, you know, the N-word. I mean, you know, that's racism. Somebody calls you the N-word. I mean, you know, so that means that's fighting language. So, you know, call the law enforcement officers. Let's file a suit. Okay? Racism, you know, like if you're going to use Captain Renault in the movie Casablanca, I'm shocked to find that there's gambling going on here. Well, you know, black people think that I'm shocked to find that there's racism going on at this particular business place. And see, we don't understand what racism is at all. Mm-hmm. Racism is everywhere, 24/7, in every area of activity, worldwide, every minute of every day. There's no such thing as a non-racial situation. None. Zero. In every area of activity. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Every area of activity, this thing called racism and or white supremacy dominates everybody's behavior 24 hours a day wherever you are. And that includes all of the non-white people, all of the black people who have never even seen a white person except on a movie screen or on a newsreel or something. They've never even laid eyes on a single white person. Racism dominates them wherever they are, on some remote island somewhere, where they have never even, they just heard about some people called white people. They just heard about it. If they are black, they are being dominated by the white supremacists. That's why they're on that island. Even though they'll say that they were born here and they go back generations and all like that. Well, things haven't been changed there. I mean, until the white supremacists change them. They don't change anything themselves. They see airplanes flying over. I mean, they don't know what that is. They see it, and they have heard that there are people in them going places and doing things. They are no longer afraid of them because they see them so frequently. But they don't know anything about them. They don't know anything about what's going on except just what's going on in that small village of 800 people. And they have never been in contact with anybody outside of that, and that's their entire world. But they are subject to the system of white supremacy. Why? Because the whole world is of non-white people. Mm-hmm. Now that is a flat statement. That's either true or false.
Or false, yes. Wow. Okay. Let's see here. Maybe we can get this one in. A quick question from the, from the Gmail. Mr. Fuller, when I am honest with myself and I am practicing self-respect, why is it difficult? Why is it so difficult to do it every second, minute, every hour? I sometimes go back to lying to myself again. Why is that difficult in the system of racism, which is white supremacy?
Why is what difficult?
Lying to myself, or practicing, rather, self-respect.
Oh, it's difficult because everybody likes to have what we call, we've been trained anyway to have what you call pride. We've been told, you should be proud, all right? You should think well of yourself. We're taught that. That's something, we wouldn't even think about anything like that, getting respect or something like that, except we've been taught, all right? We've been taught that we should get respect from someone else, really. Mm-hmm. All right?
All right.
Which is a terrible thing to say to anybody.
To anybody.
Okay. Right.
And then
teach that.
Mr. Palmer goes on and say, can compensatory code work when non-white people are not honest with themselves? Is that true?
Yes. Okay. So when we go around and we feel sorry for ourselves, on the kind of looks like, the average black person, like right now, coming out of college, I mean, just feels naked. I mean, they're wearing a cap and gown and whatnot. They're covered, and they have a piece of paper in their hand. Mm-hmm. But truth be told, the average black person, like I know I did, just coming out of high school, I felt naked.
Okay.
I say, okay, I finished this stage of my life. Now, what am I in charge of?
Right. We're going to have to...
That's the question that hit my mind.
Okay, we're going to have to...
What am I in charge of?
We're going to have to leave it right there
right.
for a second. TalkTimeAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTimeAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. Another question from the Gmail. All that and more coming up next.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kitchen online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kitchen products are better than those other guys. Ash Kitchen candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kitchen online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Robe is an intriguing, riveting, mysterious novel written on forgiveness by Renee Smith. Order your copy today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. That's The Robe by Renee Smith.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimeAtRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTimeAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTimeAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We started out today's show talking about Kanye West's statement, so we stay in that lane. But of course, you may ask any question in any subject, and Mr. Fuller will make his suggestions toward that. You can get in contact with the show by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. You can also look at the show live on the YouTube channel. Just type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Then scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube and watch it live there. While you are there, hit the subscribe and like button. And finally, you can hear a replay of the whole show by going to facebook.com/Talktainment. Now, at this point, before we go back into calls, we have a special announcement from one of the staff at Talktainment Radio. So, are you ready? Okay, we're going to give a special announcement right now. Okay, go ahead, please.
All right. Let me see. Can everybody hear me? Let me see if I can be heard. Yes. We've been supporting the compensatory code since 1975 because we believe in it. We believe in what it says. We believe if people followed the code, we would be able to minimize conflict in our community and produce justice, or at least move in that direction. So we support the code here at Talktainment Radio. All of us have, and we will continue to do so. But we're running up against financial issues. We are not the greatest in terms of finances and biggest corporation in the world, so we do the best we can to at least present programs or support those things that we feel in the best interest of all of us. And we feel the code is truly, we put our resources and our efforts where we believe, and we believe in the code and what it stands for and what it has done and what it will continue to do. But we need your support in order to keep the compensatory code concept moving forward. Without your support, we're being told we owe thousands of dollars for this and that, and it's all related to this. But we say, so what? We're going to continue to go forward because we believe in the code, and we know that you believe in the code. So we need your help. We need your donations. As Mr. Bobby has said, you can donate. Go to the talktainmentradio.com page and hit the donate button. That gold-colored yellow, he calls it yellow, we call it gold yellow, whatever. Hit that button because we need you. Without you, we cannot continue to go forward. And I thank you for your support in the past, and I appreciate from the bottom of my heart whatever you can do to help us keep this message going forward. God bless you, and thank you.
All righty. So do that. Hit that gold or yellow button over there so we can continue for the second hour of the compensatory concept. Okay, Mr. Fuller, this comes from Baba Tunde. Speaking of greater confinement, it says, Mr. Fuller, would the grave/cemetery be a form of confinement that the white supremacists use for non-whites?
A cemetery?
Would the grave/cemetery be a form of confinement for the white supremacist use for non-whites?
Somebody, you mentioned something about a cemetery, correct?
Yes, this is what this person wrote. Would the grave/cemetery be a form of confinement that the white supremacists use for non-whites?
Oh, in other words, dead black people. Is that what that means? I'm trying to get an...
I can't ask the person who wrote it, but this is what they wrote.
Okay. Would a grave... Well, yes, that's one of the ideas behind the idea of white supremacy is death making. You kill a certain percentage of non-white people on an ongoing basis. You put them into a grave. you kill every day. You're supposed to kill a number of non-white people somewhere on the planet. All right? In the textbook, it's called racial population tailoring. See, and also the main factor for the killing is to spread more confusion. And usually that's best done by having non-white people slaughter each other, like they do in Chicago. If you ask the average black person who's killing other black people in Chicago, particularly in the form of gangs and whatnot, how did it all get started? I mean, what is it all about? What does anybody get out of it? Who is supposed to profit from it and whatnot? And if you look into all these details, you will probably get very vague answers. I haven't gotten any answers, I mean, from black people themselves. So I don't know the black point of view of the people who are doing it, okay? But I do know the white supremacist point of view for engineering it, and that is racial population tailoring. That's one factor. And also the main factor is to cause confusion and the lack of any type of constructive activity. See, one way to do that is to have black people going at each other, just like people are talking about Mr. Kanye West. That's a form of it. That's conflict. Anything that will make conflict between black people, between non-white people, the white supremacists will rubber stamp it in a minute, because their power rests on that type of confusion. Because what you get out of it mostly is confusion. If you go around and try to check with people and find out with black people all over the world, say, go to the Congo, go to Uganda, go anywhere, and say, and here in Somalia, what are you getting out of all of this death, all of this destruction, all of this poverty? I mean, all this conflict you have among each other. I mean, are you building great cities? Are you building, great systems of government? Do you have steamships? I mean, modern steamships and modern aircraft that you manufacture yourself out of all of this that you are doing? And the answer is, according to all the evidence, no. Anywhere you find the darkest skin of people, you find people who are basically poverty-stricken, in all kinds of conflict with each other.
That is true.
And begging.
Yes.
And begging whom? The people who have everything. The white supremacists.
Yeah, just think about it.
All right? I don't care where on the planet you go, Brazil or wherever. All of that killing, and you say, okay, now what are you getting out of this? I mean, you're operating big time. I mean, in your own mind, you're doing something great. Now, look around you and see where the great improvements are.
Right.
Okay? Out of all of this going on from year to year, decade after decade, 100 years pass. You're right where you were when the 100 years began.
Absolutely.
All right, if not worse off. I mean, you don't have clean water. You don't have any food. You're still begging the white supremacists for anything of value that you get.
Mm-hmm.
But you got all this conflict going. So conflict is supposed to produce something. What are you actually producing? You got your tattoos, you got your tribal signs, and you're bragging about, your tribal history. That's worldwide and all like that. And how long your tribe has been around, like that means something. That's just like saying how long a person been in a jail sentence. I mean, if you haven't progressed, if you're right where you were 1,000 years ago, except for what you begged for and got from the white supremacists, or what they made you take or gave you as a result of them telling you what to do. So maybe you need to change your culture, your entire culture, and take a look at who's really running things.
Right.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
To the extent that anything makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Our graphic department, as Mr. Fuller is speaking, from time to time, we'll put graphics on there if you're looking on the YouTube channel. Very insightful. Very insightful. Make sure you do that. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1, you are on with Mr. Neely Fuller. What is your question?
Yes, first I just wanted to say it's an honor to be on this call with you, Mr. Bobby, and of course with you, Mr. Fuller. I've been listening for a long while at the Compensatory Concept radio talk show, and it has been very informative and very helpful throughout my life and my family life. My question that I have is, what's a suggestion, or what's the best suggestion that you could possibly give in order to, help us to be more effective in teaching the compensatory code to other people, of course, African people, black people? What would be the best method that we possibly can use in order to teach? That's my question, and thank you for taking my call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for calling. Mr. Fuller?
Well, the core message right now here in 2018 is that black people should change their culture. We need an entirely new culture.
Okay.
Stop bragging about the one that we have.
What do you mean, change your culture?
We need to change our culture by every contact has to be constructive.
Okay.
The culture is what you do. And when we make contact, our contacts are ragged.
Okay.
Tacky, trashy,
terroristic, yes.
The 3 T's. I call it the tragic arrangement in the textbook for victims.
So we have to change that.
Yes, we have to change that to a constructive culture. We don't have a constructive culture. I mean, we think that the culture that we have is the best possible culture that anybody could possibly have.
My.
And we align to ourselves when we do that because we know better. And the fact is, we're the biggest beggars in the world. Anytime you have a culture where you're basically begging for everything that makes sense, and you got plenty of tons of garbage that you worship, and you don't have a solution to any problem, but you can make problems, that means there's something that is incorrect about your entire culture.
Yes, sir.
Because culture is what you do. It's not something that you find in some fancy box buried in the Gobi Desert that you go and say, well, I just discovered my culture yesterday. I found it in a pink box under the Gobi Desert, 4,500 feet down, and I got it. Eureka. All we got to do is open that box, and we got, we have discovered black culture. Culture is what you do every day. If you're robbing a bank, that's your culture.
That's your culture. Okay.
If you're in a canoe going down the stream, that's your culture. When you get out of the canoe and walk across land, and you're no longer in the canoe, canoeing is not your culture. Your culture is whatever you are doing at the moment that you are doing it.
Yes, sir.
So let's go around and check every black person and see what that black person is doing right this minute. You're looking at black culture.
You're looking at black culture.
If he's got a needle in his arm, somewhere in some restroom at a bus stop, that's black culture if it's a black person doing it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right.
Wow.
So we need to stop all this hocus pocus stuff and thinking there's some kente cloth. And some sandals. Now we got black culture.
Yeah, right.
All right. So you're walking all over the place. You're in Minnesota now in January, and you got some kente cloth and some sandals, and you're strutting around with some type of mysterious book on your arm, and you got a long beard, and you're telling everybody, here it is, folks, Eureka, I got the answer to everything. Well, for one thing, you better put on some better shoes.
For one thing, yes, because it'd be cold in Minnesota. Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Fuller, and thank you, Talktainment Radio, for providing this medium. I would first like to thank Mr. Fuller for his contribution to provide solutions to this persistent problem of the worldwide global system of racism, white supremacy.
Yes.
I must humbly apologize that I have listened to you extensively, but I have not read your book yet. However, I do have it on my summer reading list. I just completed a double major, and the reading requirements were so demanding. I have a comment that I would like for you to elaborate on based on your personal observations, and then I have a question. My question is, have you seen the recent video that has gone viral showing the black mother and her young son in a playground filled with white children who are being openly racist and even physically violent toward this young black male child? If not, you can watch it, Mr. Fuller, at YouTube under the title Spanish White Kids Being Racist to a Black Kid in a Playground. University of California at Berkeley professor had stated a little while back that whites are born racist. Do you agree that whites are born racist and not taught how to be racist? And also, my
wait a minute. Let him answer that first, and then we'll get your comment. Mr. Fuller?
Okay.
Are white people born racist? Is that the question?
That is the question, yes, sir.
According to compensatory counter-racist logic, no. Because you have to know colors. See, when you're born, you're born into the world. A white baby coming into the world right this minute as we speak. That white baby is just looking around. It might be 2 or 3 black people, that are nursing the baby and whatnot. Taking care of the baby. They're in a hospital, all right? And which they should do, okay? And because white people take care of black babies, And in fact, all of us are babies under them. So they're the ones we go to for everything. We can't go to anybody else. There's nobody else to go to. Certainly can't go to us. We don't have nothing, all right? So everything that we get comes from the white supremacists and the system of white supremacy. So in answer to the question, no. You can't assume that a baby is a racist. Absolutely not. So when that baby comes of age, and when I mean coming of age, I don't know what year that is, but when the baby becomes aware of color, and then somebody tells that baby what color is supposed to mean when it comes to people, now that's when you have a racist in the making.
Okay.
Somebody has to tell that white person at some point the difference between one color and another. That's to start off. The difference between purple and green, between blue and orange, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Between black and white. And then let them know the shades of color, tan, beige, and whatnot, that are shades of black. And then, last but not least, that person has to be taught either directly or indirectly, just like in the movie South Pacific, it says you have to be carefully taught. You have to be carefully taught the difference between a black person and a white person. But you have to know your colors before that.
Got it.
So that you'll be able to recognize what a black person is and what a white person is. And last but not least, what that's supposed to mean.
Okay.
And every white person on the planet. Well, I won't say every white person on the planet, because there might be some white people who haven't heard that message, all right?
Okay.
They are in some kind of isolation and whatnot.
All right.
So I have to be careful about what I say.
Yes,
sir. But most white people on the planet have been taught the difference between skin color, black and white. And that is supposed to make a huge difference in how you behave toward anybody.
Okay.
Classified as black and anybody classified as white.
Okay, let's get her
That's
second.
The essence of racism.
Okay, let's get her second question in. Go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fuller. I appreciated that. Also, my comment is that blacks are being constantly told to comply with police in order to avoid an incident of police violence towards them. And my response to that is, when I'm told this, is I tell everyone, go watch 3 episodes of Northwood's Law. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I think Mr. Fuller would greatly be able to expand on his code or elaborate on what's already in the code, having people to watch that show.
Was that the first 3 episodes of Northwood's Law?
Just watch any 3 episodes.
Okay.
I advise people to go watch any 3 episodes of Northwood's Law.
Okay.
And this is primarily white police officers who are policing white people, and it's just profound to see how the difference in how they're handled.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's quite in agreement with Mr. Fuller's compensatory code.
Okay.
And I look forward to reading it as well. But thank you so much.
Before we let you go, is that on what channel can that be accessed on, or Medium?
You can look at them on YouTube.
Okay.
There are episodes on YouTube.
Okay.
Of Northwood's Law.
Okay. Thank you for the info. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Fuller, in the remaining moment that we have, and you have to be quick about this, you need to talk about your book.
People can get the Compensatory Counter-Racist Code book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is the method for ordering. Now, the book itself, the ingredients in the book are all about what white supremacy is, according to at least my view, and how to dismantle it as an individual person by doing things that will lead to it as an individual person, as an individual victim. If you do not perceive yourself as being a victim of racism, the book does not apply to you. But if you perceive yourself as being a victim of racism in any area of activity, or that you potentially perceive yourself maybe in the future as being a victim, if you don't see yourself as a victim now, because the presumption is that if you are black and you're on this planet, you're already a victim of racism. You've already been branded before you were born, because presumably one of your forebearers was classified as non-white. So the book is directed toward how you can best, as an individual, in your daily comings and goings, contribute to dismantling the system of white supremacy and replacing it with the system of justice. That should be the tentative goal as you evolve into what the textbook itself calls universal man and universal woman.
Okay.
And you can get the book by going to what? ProduceJustice.com.
All righty. Mr. Fuller, in the remaining minute and a half that we have before we end the first hour, I was listening to a speech by Brother Malcolm entitled The Ballot or the Bullet. And one of the things that he brought out was that, and he says exactly what you said, that we were born in a prison. Mr. Fuller, in your experience, why don't we really understand that we were actually born into a prison system of white supremacy?
Because we don't understand white supremacy. That's why I put it in the front of the book, the basic book,
yes,
and the additional word guide.
If you do not understand.
In 2 volumes, right. And I put it in bold print. I didn't have it in the original book. I had it in small print and just in one place. But I have it in bold print in a separate page and in the revised expanded edition.
Yes.
If you do not understand white supremacy, and then parenthesis racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. Yep. And that is, sometimes people just brush right past that.
Yes, they do.
But if you don't understand racism in the form of what we call white supremacy, you're not going to understand anything about your entire existence.
Wow.
You're going to be confused, and in every area of activity, when you get your so-called education, or you go into the entertainment field, and you don't know anything about racism, I mean, you're flying blind.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Alrighty.
If you're dealing with religion, the same thing.
Yes.
You're flying blind if you don't know anything about racism.
Okay. We're going to have to leave it there. I'm sorry. Thank you for the pleasure of your time. Talk to him at radio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the second hour.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all
Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Alrighty, welcome to Talktainment Radio's The Compensatory Concept. This is the second hour, which we call the Donate Hour. But we go where you go on the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the way it should be heard. Now, to get in contact with the show, you can call, as one caller has, 1-877-932-9766. Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com. You can view the show on the YouTube channel, which I'm going to speak about in just one moment. Just it's the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept on YouTube. Just type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar, and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube and watch the broadcast live. While you're there, at that point, hit the subscribe button and the like button. That really goes a long way to help us. And then you can also go to the Facebook.com/Talktainment, where you can hear the entire program. We're going to have a special announcement later on in the program about that, but right now, if you, especially for those who are looking via the YouTube channel, you'll see the home page for Talktainment. On the right-hand side, you'll see a Listen Live button, and then right underneath there is a telephone number, 1-877-932-9766. And underneath there is it looks to me that it's yellow, but I'm told it's also gold. But yellow or gold, whichever it is, make sure you hit that. That is the donate button. And it is very important that you do that for the second hour of the production of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. If this show really means that much to you, and the statistics seem to prove that it does, then you need to make a donation. It doesn't matter how much the donation is, as long as you donate to actually offset the expenses for the production of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Fuller. So do that. Again, there will be a special announcement later on this program. We've been talking about the statement that Kanye West made about slavery is a choice, and we've had different phone calls concerning that. So tune in and get ready and ask your questions. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1. Now, you are now on live with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Fuller, I wanted to talk about this incident that happened in Oakland. There was a lady, she called the police on a non-white man at a barbecue. I'm not sure about exactly what happened,
But I wanted to point out how important it was when this situation occurs to remain silent. The lady, she was another lady there, a white lady, and she spoke up for the black guy, and she ended up pointing out what the lady was doing, and they put the camera on the black guy. And I after reviewing it a couple times, I realized that how crucial it was to remain silent and allow whoever it is, if it's a white person, to do most of the talking. And I'm going to keep it short on this next one. On the next topic, after that happened, it was, I guess a lot of black people threw some major party at that same park in response to the situation that occurred. I think it's imperative that we do not, that we refrain from doing anything in that type of matter. I think we should have, not we, but anybody in that area should have allowed whatever happened to go, to continue on, and I think that just hurt the cause very much. So.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, is there a response to that? Is there a response to that?
Well, there wasn't a question, I don't think.
No, I didn't right. detect one, but
so.
But seeing incidents like that,
I'll just make a comment.
Okay.
To reiterate what I've been saying consistently, in any encounter with anybody who is quote unquote a representative of law enforcement, and say, for example, you're pulled over or you're in a restaurant and somebody walks in and says, I am a law enforcement officer and I'm going to tell you some things I want you to do. So remember the 3 F's. Don't fuss, don't fight, and don't flee. Now, the first one is don't say anything except just answer questions from that person, whomever that person may be. Just answer the questions. Or, if you don't know the answer to the question, just say you don't know. I mean, because, a person asks you a question, you say, I don't know the answer to that question. Or, I don't know how to answer that question. And keep your voice low, but don't do any fussing. And say as little as possible. Every lawyer will tell every black person, and many black people have been, had to have a lawyer, and they're sitting in some holding cell or something like that and whatnot. I mean, when they talk to a lawyer, I think most black people, I haven't had the experience, but most black people, I think, will tell you that when you tell a lawyer you didn't say anything, that lawyer has a whole lot of leeway to do a lot of things in your favor. And so you can remember that. Don't start mouthing off. You're not on a playground in kindergarten. Black people still act like, even when we're 30 years old, we think we got to go into show business out there on the highway at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're looking at sudden death. And we think we're in show business. We start performing like we're in some type of one-act play in grade school. I wouldn't even say high school. Take your hands off me. Well, you ain't got, I know my rights. Get your hands off me. What you touching me for? That's fussing. That will get you absolutely nothing but a whole lot of what you don't want. That's a guarantee. You're not going to, all of a sudden the world is not going to change for you in your favor because of what you're saying. You're not going to have everything going for you. And then you swing on that officer. By swinging, I mean you ball up your fist and take, you're going to knock his teeth out.
Whoa.
Well, good luck with that. All right? It is proven that it doesn't what? It doesn't work. Black people have to become more scientific. We need to be the most scientific people on the planet by now from what we have gone through. Always think of cause and effect. How is all this going to work out if I make this move?
Yes, sir.
That's what you should ask yourself.
Okay.
Now, I'm getting ready to go off on this guy. Now, what's going to be the result if I go off on him? All right? Ask yourself that before you do anything and say, well, hey, there's 3 squad cars here. There's 4 people standing around me in a circle. One of them is getting ready to put the cuffs on me. All right? And I know I haven't done anything. Should I start telling them all about the Constitution and all like that? The answer is no. Do what you are told. It will work best for you.
Okay. Now, Mr. Fuller, I don't know whether you know this or not, but you have described what happened to this 75-year-old black grandmother, well-dressed. Like you said, you probably didn't know this, but there were 4 police officers surrounding her. I don't know what she did, to have her pulled over, but they pulled her over, and I believe they did ask her to get out the car, which she refused. She was calm. Well, one of the officers actually reached into the car and began to pull her out, and did. And then she went to screaming and hollering. It was awful. I saw this on the YouTube channel, and I believe she was thrown to the ground, and a lot of other bad things that were happening. And I have to admit that I was really upset at the way that they treated this old lady. What happened was, when they got to court, they found that whatever the charge was, there was no charge against her. She was released. Now, she did admit that she did get out of control by fussing, but I guess she was shocked. I mean, she's 75 years old. She's somebody's grandmother, maybe somebody's mother, well-dressed, which didn't seem to matter to the officer that pulled her out. Subsequently, the officer that did all this, and this was caught on camera, he did resign. And I have a problem with that, because that makes him still eligible to get his pension. But he did resign. It's kind of hard when you're actually faced up with that situation, Mr. Fuller, that you described, that I actually saw on the YouTube channel. I mean, what do you do?
Everything starts with your mind, M-I-N-D, your brain. So if you have already got it in your mind that you are a prisoner of war on this planet, if you're black, you're already a prisoner of war. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. You're a prisoner of war. You're a slave to the system of white supremacy. You can't think any other way. That's dangerous. And it is not wise or smart, you might say. Of course, there are no wise people, period. But it's not smart. It's not going to work for you to think any other way. You have to think, what will be the best way for me to conduct myself for the results to be in my favor? So if you think, I'm a prisoner of war, I'm already a prisoner. I'm walking around in the prison yard, or I got a little scooter or a car, and I'm driving around in the prison yard. The whole world is a prison yard for a black person.
Even though she was fearing for her life, had not done anything?
Doesn't make any difference. You're fearing for your life as a prisoner of war 24/7 anyway.
All right.
The white supremacists can kill you at any time, and there's nobody who can come to your rescue that's got the muscle to do anything about it except mouth off. And that's the truth. Oh, yeah, we can have demonstrations after the fact. We have plenty of those. We talk about what we don't like, and we do that year after year, decade after decade. But we're prisoners of war.
Yeah, here it is on the
We're born in prison.
Yeah.
All right? You have to have that in your mind. I don't care whose grandmother you are. You have to have in mind, you have absolutely no rights in the system of white supremacy.
Yeah,
none.
Excuse me, Mr. Fuller. We have the video right now on the YouTube channel, and you can see the officers going up there and doing it. One grandmother, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers right there. I mean, it's just. Oh man, this is look at that. Wow, doing that to her. For those of you that actually can see this on the YouTube channel, and then the officer resigns after the woman's arrest. You know, it's awful. It's really hard for me to look at that. You know, pulling her like that. 75 years old, Mr. Fuller.
Well, I'm older than that lady.
I
ain't going to fuss.
Yes.
I ain't going to fight. I ain't going to flee. And I'm going to look at those people around me, and I'm going to say it might be a race soldier among them.
It might be.
There is. If it's a white person carrying a gun, he may be a racist. All right? And Neely Fuller, the way I would look at it, getting out of that car slowly and doing what they tell me to do, I'm thinking, Neely Fuller, this is my last day on this planet. That's what I'm thinking. All right? That's what I think.
Yeah.
In that situation that grandmother was in.
Yeah.
This is my last day. I'm going to be dead within the next 5 minutes. That's the way I think. That's the way I think. That's the way I say every black person should think. You know why? Because you just might be.
Wow. Well, I know it really is disturbing. To me, it's a disturbing video to see that. Now, it's on pause right now, but to see her actually being pulled out, 75 years old, against 5 white men, being pulled out of her car. Now, whatever happened, whatever it was, the officer resigned. Yeah, there he goes. The officer resigned from that. What does that indicate if the officer resigned from that? Is he admitting that he's wrong?
Well, it could indicate that, but the white supremacists, directly and indirectly, make the decision about what that resignation means. I always say white people don't get fired in the system of white supremacy. They get transferred.
Wow. Okay. Talktainmentradio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, which we just saw, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and, of course, politics. Now, here are two that I'd like to share with you. This is Libby, holistic teachings. You know, tune into that. And All in the Family. 2 excellent shows that are produced here at TalkTainmentRadio.com. As a matter of fact, for a list of the shows that are produced here, you can go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage and then click on the programs, and there is a list of all the shows that we have here, dates, times, bios, all that. You can get that information there. From TalkTainmentRadio.com, that's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. We've been having a discussion today's topic about Kanye West's statement about slavery being a choice. Some agree, some disagree, but it's up in the news, so we've been talking about that. And we will be taking your Gmails, and you can get me at 7MrBobby@gmail.com. You can also call in at 1-877-932-9766. And for those of you who have just watched it, you can go to the YouTube channel, and all you have to do is type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar and type in the word radio, scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you can watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And while you are at that point, hit the like and share button. Don't forget, in a few moments, we're going to have a special word from one of the staff about the broadcast here, so make sure that you stay tuned for that as I look for my eyes, and now I have them. Okay, this is from the Gmail. It says, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name, but anyway, it says, Dear Mr. Fuller, I write to you in order to share with you the following essay that I found insightful as I did your book, The Compensatory Code System Concept. What reminded me in this 5-page essay of your work was the last sentence in the first paragraph on page 388, where the author states that production is cooperation, is communication, is language, is an expression between human beings, and it is specifically human. Mr. Fuller, this statement by the author reminded me so much of you that I thought I would share that with you. and then it gives an email address that this can be accessed. I don't know what the question would be on that, but evidently maybe somebody else is sharing a compensatory message as you do. Now, I do know that I've gone to 388 in the textbook, and it's not there, but I believe the person was referring to the textbook that she read. What are your thoughts on other people producing information that is related to a compensatory code?
Oh, well, if they take it right from my book, they should at least give the reference to it. Now, that's not to honor me or so-called, like some people say, they use that word respecting Neely Fuller. No, that's so that the truth doesn't get confused. See, everybody who says anything about anything, the person who is saying it, everybody should know that person is saying it. If President Donald Trump makes a statement, that shouldn't be confused with something that Aristotle said. I mean, if he's repeating Aristotle, that should be made clear. If President Donald Trump says something that Aristotle says or said, and it sounds similar to it, he'll say, well, I'll just say that, I'm modifying what Aristotle said because I basically got it from him, because I do that. I will quote Mark Twain, and which I do frequently, and but I will tell people now, this doesn't come from the textbook. This doesn't come from Neely Fuller. This came from Mark Twain. But I want people to think about what Mark Twain said.
Yes.
Because I think that and figure out for yourself whether or not what Mark Twain said makes sense or whether it doesn't. In other words, it stands alone.
Yes, sir.
And it's the same way when someone says something similar to what I'm saying. Just make the distinction so that you don't get it confused between, if it's two people making a comment about what Neely Fuller said, they'll say, these two people are making a comment about what Neely Fuller said. Or if the two people are making a comment about something that they were inspired to say by Neely Fuller, they say that. In other words, just keep everything clear, even on this program.
Okay.
I grade myself on not so much what I'm saying that's right out of the book or what I've written or what I've said before. I grade myself on two things, focus and clarity.
Okay.
Because I'm not very good at both.
Okay.
All right.
Focus and clarity. Okay.
Yes, Neely Fuller has difficulty staying focused, as anybody who hears me talk. They say, yeah, Neely Fuller has a tendency to kind of jump from one subject to another. That's because I'm thinking of so many things at one time.
Yes, yes.
See, but that is not correct. There are some speakers, who speak with very intense focus, and they move from one subject to another with great distinction.
Great. Mm-hmm.
All right, and you know what those distinctions are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I need to really watch myself on doing that.
Okay.
Focus and clarity.
All righty. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller. What is your question?
How you doing, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller? This is Brother Muko from Baltimore.
Yes, sir, Brother Muko.
Compensatory Constructive Action discussions every Saturday on St. Louis Drive, right across the street from Lake Clifton, 12 noon. So anybody want to come out, be free to come out. My question to Mr. Fuller is this. Mr. Fuller, can you expound for the care unit in Baltimore and every care unit all around the Northwest Hemisphere how important it is for the victims of racism, white supremacy, to use the correct words when they're being violated by racism, white supremacy? In other words, what I'm saying, can you expound on how important it is to call racism, white supremacy out for the victims, how important it is for the victims to do that and use the correct words when they're using it? In other words, not saying, oh,
just a small thing. It's not racism, white supremacy, when it actually is.
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
Yes. That's up to the individual. See, everything is tailored to the individual. But the individual, that's what the book is for. It's to tell individuals, give you like a menu of things that you can say, things that you don't say. Everything is about saying and doing. So when certain things happen, you want to do the best possible thing that anybody could ever do under those circumstances. That's what you call rock-solid code. In other words, for everything that happens every minute of every day, on a job, or whether or not there's a potential altercation somewhere, whether you're having an argument with another black person, what is the best possible thing that anybody in 10 million years could ever do or ever say under those circumstances? That's what codification, see, and everybody should train, each person should train him or herself in advance to be prepared, like the old Boy Scout motto, be prepared for anything that comes up, and already have a code that's going to always work best for whom? For you as an individual right there on the spot. And everything has a best result and a worse result. Codification is about trying to guarantee that whatever you do and whatever you say, every minute of every day, wherever you happen to be on the planet, will always produce the very best result that anybody in 10,000 years will ever get. Now, that takes some thinking in advance.
Yes.
All right? In other words, if I say this, am I going to get the best result that anybody could ever get? I mean, anybody who comes behind me in 10,000 years won't be able to do it any better than what I just did. Or if I say this particular thing, is it going to be the best possible thing that a person can say under these circumstances in another 10,000 years? Nobody will ever be able to say it better. That's the way that your goal every minute of every day should be that way about everything. Meaning what? Getting the best result out of every circumstance that you're in. If you're at the bottom of a well, what's the best possible way for me to get out of this well? And I don't have a rope, and I don't have no tools, and this well has smooth walls. And here I am at the bottom, and it's 300 feet up there, and I'm not a good climber, and I ain't got nothing to hold on to going up. What is the best possible thing for me to do now that I am here alone at the bottom of this well? I mean, that's the question. That's what an insect, that's what an ant has to ask. What's the best possible thing to do? And once you figure out what the best possible thing to do, you do it.
Yes.
Now, it might be you have to stay at the bottom of that well for a long, long time, all right? But so be it.
Okay.
But you don't want to get halfway up to the top and then fall down and break your neck. All right?
You don't want to do that. All right. Hey, Brother Muko, before I let you go, I want you to give your number to the people in the back because I want to ask you something off air when I get time. So give your number to them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, really appreciate that. All right, Brother Muko.
Okay, no
all right, thank you.
All right.
All righty.
Bye.
Okay. You're listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and our base discussion has been a statement by Kanye West about being 400 years a slave, or slavery was a choice. We've had videos up of his statements, and as a matter of fact, we show videos of a lot of situations to bring more clarity to the question or the situation being addressed. So we will do that. And as we do that, let's do this. TalkTeam@radio.com. We go where you go, and you can check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. All you have to do is download the TalkTameItRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We're going to have more of your questions, more of your Gmails, all that coming up next on TalkTameItRadio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Robe is an intriguing, riveting, mysterious novel written on forgiveness by Renee Smith. Order your copy today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. That's The Robe by Renee Smith.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTameRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. And we like to have this special announcement coming up right now with one of our staff members. So go ahead, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, we here at Talktainment Radio strive with limited resources to provide a communications medium. Now, we thank you for your emails and your feedback, and we're working very, very hard for you. We have supported the compensatory concept since 1975. This is why we broadcast the compensatory concept for the last 7 or 8 years. We broadcast it each week right here. We firmly believe that it is the only system of thought, speech, and action that enables us to move in the correct direction towards the production of justice. But right now, we need your help. If we're going to continue to broadcasting the Compensatory Code show each week, we need your help. Now, we thank you and deeply appreciate what you have donated. However, moving forward, we need your help. Without you, we cannot continue each week. The financial costs for us are great, but we are firmly committed to the code. Please help us to continue to get the compensatory code system of thought, speech, and action out to the world. Our people need it. Please donate today. We need you. Go to TalkTainmentRadio.com and hit the yellow donate button on the front page. We deeply appreciate any amount that you can give. We thank you so much for listening and being a part of the code. God bless you.
All righty. So do that. Hit that donate button. Okay, going to the Gmails, Mr. Fuller says, Mr. Fuller, since September the 11th, this government has encouraged us all to, if you see something, say something, end of quote. Well, suspected white supremacists have always called the cops or authorities on us as black people for any number of reasons, but it went into even higher gear since. It's why second day we see so many confrontations between black people and people on video. These anonymous suspected white supremacists fear in us, therefore they sick the police on us the way some of them used to sick dogs on us in the South. Unfortunately, though, many of us victims of white supremacy and mainly other black people have followed the lead of our white illegitimate parents, as you call them, by doing the same. Black people are now calling the police first before tyranny settles even in minor or basic disputes with other black people, which has led to the death of other black people once these race soldiers arrive. So my question to all this, Mr. Fuller, is what would you advise us as victims of white supremacy to do in order to avoid getting the police involved? How best should we try and settle disputes between us?
In the code book itself, under the 10 stops, it says, stop squabbling among yourselves and calling in the white supremacists to settle the squabbles. Now, that doesn't mean that a lot of times people get into that thing about snitching. Snitching is giving incorrect information that will do harm to people incorrectly. That's what snitching is, according to the code. Giving correct information, truthful information, to correct a situation that needs correcting is not snitching. I mean, anytime black people are robbing people, going around here, walking up on a bus stop and robbing somebody's grandmother of her little check or something like that, and you say, and you point out the person that did it, that's not snitching. That's not snitching. That person should be pointed out because the person shouldn't do it. See, because a part of the 10 stops is stop stealing and stop robbing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't even steal or rob from the people who have stolen and robbed from you, according to the code. No, that's not settling the situation. We got to get it out of the habit that the white supremacists has taught us that if you want to get something, you got to rob and steal like they have. Okay, they are then the supreme thieves and robbers. They rob whole continents of people. I mean, millions of people by the day. They steal from people, millions of people by the minute. Okay, we want to get out of that. So when you point out any black person who's doing it, that black person usually knows what he or she is doing. They know when they're robbing somebody, when they're stealing from somebody. So stand by your work. That's another part of the code. If you're a robber and a murderer and a thief, when you steal from someone and you're caught, you don't try to blame it on somebody else. You stand by your work. You say, yeah, this is what I do. I don't want nobody to take credit for what I did. So that's the way you should look at it, taking credit. If you kill somebody, you're not supposed to run and hide. You're supposed to say, yes, I did it. And furthermore, hey, now that I think about it, I want to do it again. You know? That's why I did it the first time. I know what I'm doing. I'm not apologizing for nothing. I killed that person. Why did I kill that person? Because the person should be dead. That's why I killed them. That's why they're dead. I killed them, and they're dead. So when you tell on that person, I mean, the person should really tell on themselves. Stand by your work, whatever that work is. If
Yes,
you're
sir.
a carpenter, stand by your carpentry work. If you're a robber, stand by your robbery work. Don't run and hide behind the bushes or under your grandmother's porch and try to make it look like some guy down the street did it. All right? Because they're going to get somebody.
Yes, they
and
are.
they might not get you. They should get you. Why? Because you did it.
You did
That's the law of compensation.
Yes.
Now, however, how can black people minimize having to do that? By not doing these things. And definitely don't get in arguments. Recently I've been saying, because I've found myself slipping, even in talking about the code, I have been arguing about things in the code. That is an absolute no-no.
No, yes.
That is never supposed to happen. You don't argue about the best way to go about ending racism. You don't argue about anything. Black people should never argue with each other about anything. We give an opinion. We exchange views. But we should never raise our voices or start name-calling or any of that, ever. That should be a thing of the absolute past, starting with this minute. In answer to the question, direct answer to the question, stop arguing about anything. And if you can't settle the dispute or disagreement, just say this. This is in the code. I will talk to you some other time. You know, so
Yes.
that we both can have some air to think about what we're doing.
Yes. That's the
whatever,
second.
whatever it is that you have against what I'm doing, go and think about it. Whatever it is that you say that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, I'm going and think about it. But we are not going to talk about it anymore right now because it looks like our talk is leading to an argument.
Mm-hmm.
And black people, starting with 2018, do not have arguments ever with anybody about anything. That's a part of our code.
Yeah.
We don't argue.
Right.
Why? Because we know that arguments are going to lead to something that neither one of us is going to want to happen.
That's good information.
All right.
That's the second week in a row that you've made that statement. Let's go on to the Gmails. This is from Sip Hepilo. says this, Mr. Fuller, I was out at a club with a friend, and this black girl and boy called me over, and the male attempted to begin sexual play with me. This happened to me on many occasions. Mr. Fuller, what's interesting about these cases is that these so-called homosexuals purposely look for a male and try to persuade them into their lifestyle. This seems to be a game to them. When I asked a member of the LGBTQ what LGBTQ actually stood for, what was the purpose of those groups, and lastly, what is the constructive result of being categorized under LGBTQ. They got angry and told me that I don't need to understand. Mr. Fuller, how do we handle sexually scrambled blacks who attempt to recruit and bombard us with their sexual confusions without getting into an argument?
Minimize conflict by minimizing contact. That's regardless of what the argument is. In other words, you just minimize the contact. If a person is touching you and whatnot, you just make a request, the logical request. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm asking you not to touch me. All right? Talk to me. Say what you got to say. We'll discuss it. I will give you my answers if you ask me a question. I will give you my opinion if you ask me for my opinion. But I'm requesting that you not touch me. Period. Okay? I'm asking you that. I will consider that as assault if you do. Have I made myself clear? And say something similar to that. Okay? And then if the person continues to pursue you, walk away. Try to put distance between the person. And then if the person pursues you, all right, now you have the duty to defend yourself against a person who is committing assault. That's what that is. But as far as arguments are concerned, do not argue even about LGBTQ. Don't argue with the people about it. Give your opinion if you're asked. Don't offer your opinion unless you're asked.
But he asked a question. He asked, what is it?
Yes. Okay.
And they told him basically,
yes,
don't worry about it.
That's the first thing you ask. If they want you to discuss it, if they want to walk up to you and say they're recruiting you, because see the reason for this is, and I predicted this would happen, the white supremacists, according to the code, are behind all of this.
Yeah.
Among non-white people worldwide. Sexual scrambling.
Yeah.
They are trying to make the white male anus the new black vagina. That's where ultimately all of this is supposed to lead.
Wow.
The white male anus will replace all black vaginas. Black vaginas will become obsolete under what the white supremacists have planned according to logic with the LGBTQ movement. And the holy grail of all sexuality, when everything finally plays out according to compensatory counter-racist logic, will be the white female vagina. That will be the holy grail. All other sexuality is just a bunch of junk. All right? This is where they are headed in the minds of the white supremacists. And they are spreading this among all of the non-white people of the entire planet as rapidly as they can. They're in desperation mode. They got to move fast with this, and they got to go all out. Any black person who signs on for it will be given all kinds of support. By whom? By the white supremacists. So even black people who are in LGBTQ, they should ask themselves, what is the white supremacist interest in promoting what we are about? They're in it for something. They're in it, according to the code, for what they're always in anything for, white supremacy.
White supremacy.
That's how all of this is supposed to work out. It's supposed to give greater strength to the system of white supremacy and have all of the non-white people, when it comes to the area of sex, in total disarray, so that they don't even identify what sex is. Sex can be the side of a mountain or a leaf on a tree or whatever. I mean, there would be no description for sex. Sex will be nondescript. That's how it'll wind up among the non-white people. And once you mess people's minds up in the area of sex, it's easier to mess their minds up in every other area of activity.
Okay.
Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So, therefore, you understand, if you understand what the white supremacist agenda is, then you codify how you interact with non-white people.
Okay.
You don't argue with them or anything like that. We have them in our family. Some of us, I mean, you know, who are for the code and whatnot, are homosexual, all right? But they are not for that part of it, okay?
All right.
But black people haven't even got what you call straight sexuality straight yet, okay? That's a disaster.
Okay.
So it's not putting anybody up or putting anybody down. It's just telling it like it is. The whole sexual thing under the system of white supremacy is a total mess.
Total mess.
It's not a partial mess.
Okay.
I mean, we're all messed up sexually.
Okay, now Brother Hep, says this. By the way, he's from South Africa. He says this: the blacks who are here in South Africa seeking refuge are used by the white supremacists. Some, not all, sell drugs to South African youth. They tell us South Africans are free, yet they can see that black South Africans are poorer than them in this country. It's like back in history when certain blacks captured other blacks and sold them to the races simply because they did not believe in their Islamic religion. They called us kafirs. Today it's the same. Our black brothers see us as soulless, and they help the racist white supremacists kill and capture us. It is as if the white supremacists are trying to kill off all black South Africans and add in total new people. Black South Africans are too fussy and are always talking about, quote, rights, end of quotes. Black South Africans aren't good slaves. Mr. Fuller, my question is, during this time of the, quote, land negotiations, end of quote, how do the black people of South Africa get their politics correct before 2019? And number two, how do we deal with neighboring African brothers who help sabotage our progress? Mr. Neely Fuller, how do we deal with them without a Mao?
Ultimately, you have to change people's minds. You have to talk about codification, counter-racist codification. You have to understand and talk about white supremacy, what it is and how it works, not in just one or two areas of activity, but in all areas of activity, and say this: it's a complete system, the most well-thought-out system ever invented in the minds of people for political and religious expression. No system is more powerful than the system of white supremacy. Put that in capital letters. The system of white supremacy should be in capital letters. Racism is white supremacy. White supremacy is racism. And it's the most powerful political and religious system. And there are some pretty powerful religions on the planet now. You know, people are very strongly motivated by religion. But all of these religions combined, every religion that you have ever heard of, none of them come anywhere close to being as powerful as the religion of white supremacy. And you have to put it that way to people so that they don't get confused. There's nothing on this planet that motivates people more than the religion of white supremacy, than the politics of white supremacy, than the educational system of white supremacy. Name any area of activity. The economic system. I mean, people talk about the Chinese and whatnot. I mean, you know, the Chinese, when they get ready to do business, they got on suits and ties. You know, they used to wear, didn't wear a tie. What is a tie for? It's because it's the business suit. And the white supremacists are the biggest business people on the planet. Nobody is more business-like than them. Nobody runs business like they do. There's no more powerful business that ever existed on the planet than the system of white supremacy. So, when you see people imitating, including the so-called scattersexuality, fiddly desexuality, and all of this, that's all, anything that has power, anything you see black people doing, I mean, that is of questionable value in the long run. You can figure that the white supremacists are behind it. But don't be argumentative with other non-white people. Avoid that.
Okay.
Because all you're going to do is just have a whole lot of dead bodies at the end of the day. And the white supremacists, by them running the entire prison called the planet Earth, they'll just simply say, oh, you killed, the black people had a prison riot, and they killed each other out there in the prison yard. They killed 8 million black people killing each other today. 800,000 like it did in the 1990s in Rwanda.
Yes.
All right, in just a couple of weeks. Okay, so after all those dead bodies are lying over there, what have you actually got? A whole lot of black dead bodies, which is exactly what the white supremacists wanted in the first place. Nothing changed.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to just, tell the black people who are trying to sabotage, just go ahead and let them do what they're going to do, because you just keep doing what you're doing, and somewhere down the line, try to show them, all right, you're doing this, you're going all out, you're being paid to do what you're doing against us, and we just, brush that off because you're a fellow prisoner, and, they can do this. Consider yourself like, if you are in prison, they can always take someone from the cell block down the hall and have them come in there and beat you up. The prison masters can do this, and they have done it.
Yes.
And they do it every day, really.
Every day. Let me do this. Right. Let me do this. In the remaining minute and a half that we have, we need to discuss your book, how we can get it, and all the other information.
Yes. You can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And it's now available in England and in also Canada. Someone let me know that a few weeks ago. Good. So I'll re-announce that. And it's on the drawing board that from England, they might be able to work something out to get the book in places like the gentleman that just called from South Africa mm-hmm. and other places throughout the world, because it's a world movement. Counter-racism has to be worldwide. Otherwise, it's not going to work. I mean, this little local thing, you do the best you can where you are, but always with it in mind, you're trying to produce a universal woman and a universal man, something that has never been done before, not even by the white supremacists. And the description for that is in the textbook itself. Go to producejustice.com.
Okay. Well, we've just about come to the end of the program, so let me say this to all of our listeners. Take in mind the messages that have been forwarded to you, particularly the donate message and what that means to us, particularly for the second hour. But this is also important. We here at Talktainment Radio thank you for the pleasure of your time. So to you, to Mr. Fuller, and to all, Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. Talktainmentradio.com, radio the way it should be heard. Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.